I can't say that I have family to leave behind necessarily. My mother died when I was 13. And not too long after that, my father abandoned all 9 of us. My entire life seemed to change.
What's your name? Kofi Mensah. Kofi Mensah? Yeah, yourself? Ulric Cross.
Ever since I was a little boy, all I ever wanted to do was become a pilot. Flying Officer Ulric Cross. And now I'm actually here at the area, signing up.
Let's just go and kill Hitler. I don't know why you came back to this country. There's nothing here for you. They've been using us. Their men died and they called us. You think they want us here?
Come, let's go. Help me leave England.
There's somebody that I want you to meet. This is Mr. C.L.R. James. Mr. George Padmore.
This young man, Ulric Cross. We need him.
The CIA, the MI6, the intelligence services, you have to understand, building a movement is not easy, Mr. Cross.
I will go to Ghana.
This is Ghana, man.
Yes. Welcome to Ghana, my friend.
Our President Kwame Nkrumah and the people came together to unite Africa. At last, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever!
Independence came to over a dozen states peaceably, but in the Belgian Congo, freedom was followed by rioting and army mutiny, a reign of terror and disorder.
Well, Mr. Bumbutu, things seem to be a bit unstable.
This is my country, the Republic of Congo.
You just saw the trailer for the film Hero. Joining us on set to talk all about this. Before we get into the actual introducing the guests, the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival has announced that the opening film for the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival 2018 will be the long-anticipated film Hero, inspired by the extraordinary life and times of Mr. Ulric Cross. And we are very, very happy to have with us on set the founder of Trinidad and Tobago's Film Festival, the man himself, Dr. Bruce Paddington.
Hi.
We're also joined by Lisa Wickham, executive producer of that much-anticipated film, Hero. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very, very excited to talk about this. Let's begin, first of all, by me talking, or asking you rather, about what we can expect for the 2018 installment.
A fantastic festival, full of wonderful films. Our theme this year is love film, and I think the country needs some love right now. And films can portray so many emotions, it can educate, it can entertain, and we're going to be showing films mainly from the Caribbean, but a lot of films from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
And a few films from world cinema as well.
Yes.
It's a must-see event on the national calendar. It's going to be our 13th edition. We're opening at Napa. We'll talk more about that later. And the opening last year was for Green Days by the River, and we think this year may even top that.
What pressure, Bruce!
It was very exciting, the opening. It was packed. We had about over 1,000 people attending, and some people said, oh gosh, it's Hollywood. But we're not Hollywood, we're Trinidad and Tobago, and it's going to be a wonderful display of the best films from Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, and the wider world.
Yes, it's interesting that he spoke about the impact that films can have on the population, and the theme being love film. Let's talk a little bit about the influence that film can have on the population, and let's talk a little bit about how this theme fits into Hero.
Right. So when you talk about the influence that film can have, I think you walked right into the space that Hero would occupy. The full name of the film, Hero, inspired by the extraordinary life and times of Mr. Ulric Cross, Hero for short. And the reason I'm saying that you walked into that space is that one of the objectives of Hero is really to inspire audiences, young, not so young, based on or inspired by the life of Ulric Cross, who some people would know him as a diplomat, as the most decorated RAF fighter pilot in World War II. But what started off as a documentary inspired by his life, when Francis San, who spent hours, who's our director, talented director, met with him before he passed for hours and hours, it was discovered that his adventure, his 16-year adventure in Africa, working alongside people like the Prime Minister of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, CLR James, George Padmore, who of course was born Malcolm Nurse from Aruca in Trinidad, had to change his name because both the CIA and MI6 had him targeted, because at that time, you know, he was a member of the Communist Party and so on. So it has that spy influence and so on. Ulric was a very interesting personality who many people may not be aware of the things that he was involved in terms of Pan-Africanism, black liberation, and the work that was done with regard to independence in Africa and the Caribbean during that time. Yeah, so it's set in 1941 to up until the early 60s, and we have a fabulous cast starring Nikolai Salcedo from Trinidad and Tobago, young Nikolai. We have Peter Williams out of Canada, and Peter has done work on Riddick and Stargate and so on. We have Joseph Marcel from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who is Joffrey. We also have Pippa Nixon out of the UK. We have Jimmy Akinbola, who is on the top 10 list of most eligible actors with Idris, and so he's from Law and Order UK and Holby City and so on. And we also have the #1 actor out of Ghana and a number of talented Ghanaian actors. John Dumelo, 2.2 million followers on Instagram. So the film shot in Ghana, the UK, Canada, and Trinidad and Tobago, primarily a Trinidad and Tobago team, supported by Telefilm, I must say, out of Canada, and definitely a lot of respect to Republic Bank, our major funder on this film. Really is something, I think, as Bruce said, is something to look for. Yeah, extremely exciting.
You went all out.
Well, I can't say I went, it's a team.
Yes, definitely.
This film was really started by Desmond Allen, the late Desmond Allen, who was a very good friend of Ulric's. And it was really it started off to pay homage to him and his work in World War II. Most people did 80 sorties into Germany. Most people did 8 sorties about that. He did 80. He kept going back and back as a navigator. And then it evolved into what it is today. And then the team, led by Alam and Anne-Marie Stewart, who is also Francis Ann's mother, executive producer on the film, Tara Alam, who is Desmond's wife, and Dr. Jackie Sharp and Rajiv Prasad. They really spearheaded, you know, the film, which started in 2013, which is why it's long anticipated, right, Bruce? 2013.
Dr. Paddington, you must be very excited about this.
When we heard that Hero would be available and it's going to have its world premiere, not just its Trinidad premiere, not just its Caribbean, but its world premiere at our festival, we thought this is fantastic. And this is going to be the third Trinidad and Tobago film in a row that has opened our festival. We opened with Play the Devil. Maria Govan from the Bahamas worked with a Trinidadian, Abigail Hadid. That was 2 years ago. Last year we had Green Days by the River that we all know about, another Trinidad and Tobago film that was so popular. It went straight from showing at the festival, it got so much kudos, so much feedback, and it went straight into the cinemas for about 5 or 6 weeks, maybe more than that. And Hero, I think there's all kind of plans for Hero, but Hero is going to be a magnificent film. Ulric Cross, I met him a few times, a very humble person, very elegant, very charming, very erudite, a wonderful man. And this person, I mean, I think 50%, 60% of the people, the pilots that went out, didn't return. And he kept doing it over and over again. as a navigator, working as a squadron leader, I think he was.
Yeah.
So we're so excited to have Hero as our opening film. It's going to be on September the 18th. Our festival goes on to the 25th. It's only 7 or 8 days, but we have 2 screens at Movie Town in Port of Spain. We have 1 screen in San Fernando, 1 in Tobago. We're showing at UE. You're going to be hearing a lot more about the wonderful films that we're going to be showing, but it's going to be kicked off by the extraordinary film Hero.
Yes. I think one of the things you said you met him, one of the things journeying through the various countries. So I joined in 2015 because I was working on other productions before, and took it to South Africa to enter what is known as Discop Pro, a very prestigious pitching competition there. And out of all the international participants, we won.
Yes.
Yes, and the reaction that we got from the trailer, just from people from the continent, and people from Trinidad and Tobago as well, it speaks to who the man was, Ulric Cross. And when I speak of his name, people across all generations were impacted by his life.
Wonderful.
It's important to say, though, that this is not a biopic. It's not a true story, but true to the times in which he lived. Because based on what he had to do as a diplomat, he couldn't particularly see exactly what he did. So Francis San Solomon, the director, has extrapolated based on his journey through the various interactions.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Unfortunately, we're out of time. And
We just started.
so thank you so much for being here this morning. We're very, very excited about this.
Yes.
Well, news is up next. Stay tuned.